Hi everyone, I just wanted to show you how to make a button in Figma the right way. So I just created a new file, and in order to do that, we go home, we click on design file here on the top right. And what I'm going to do is rename this to say button tutorial. Now I'm going to make a frame, and in order to do that, I'm going to select the frame section here. And I'm just going to create a frame. This is like creating an artboard in Illustrator or in Photoshop. So it's very similar to that. And now I'm going to select the mouse. And what I'm going to do is create it the wrong way first. So we're probably used to making a rectangle here in some type of way. And then I'm going to add some text here. I'm going to say, hello world. And I'm going to align it so that it's centered on this rectangle. So I just hold shift and I can select both of them at the same time. I'm going to align it with this these tools up here, and so I aligned it. And this is the wrong way to make buttons. Why? Well, if we go to developer mode, we have no idea, how this is supposed to work. Look at this text; it's like free floating. It doesn't resize, it's not responsive. What we want to do is make a responsive button for developers. So when designing UI, you really have to think like a developer. It's super, super important to think like a developer when designing and to think about how is this going to be received by the developer when they're going to be replicating my designs in code. So super, super important. So instead of using a rectangle, I'm going to delete this. I'm in developer mode. I'm going to go back to design mode. I'm going to delete the box. I'm going to delete hello world. Instead of this, I'm going to delete the frame. I'm going to create another frame. So in order to do that, I can select this frame here. I can hotkey the F button on the keyboard or the A button. They both work. So I'm just going to drag the bounding box here. And it doesn't matter what size you make it because it's going to automatically readjust with the text inside. Automatic, automagically. Messed up on my words there. Automagically. This is the power of Figma, guys. Okay. In order to readjust this button and make it ready for developers, what we're going to do is rename this frame first. So we're going to rename it and say button. I'm just going to type out button here. And how I did that is I double clicked on the frame here and I typed out button. And I'm going to press enter or return. And now that frame is called button. And now I'm going to create a text box outside of the button. So I can either select the text or I can hotkey T. Hotkeys are very important when designing because it makes you go a lot faster. So I'm going to hotkey T. And I'm going to name or I'm going to put the text to be hello world. Hello world. Or I can name it button instead. Makes more sense as button. Button. Now this is white and this is white. So before I put it in this frame, I'm going to actually adjust the color of the button to be black. So I'm going to adjust that button. I'm going to select the button text layer again. I'm going to drag it over to the frame. And now that button text layer is inside of this frame layer. And it has become a child of this frame layer. So what do we do next? What I'm going to do is adjust the text style just so that we can have it more like the way that it should be. Industry standard. I'm going to put it as Roboto, 16 pixels with medium weight. So in order to do that, I selected the text layer. I'm going to go over to this text options menu here, and I'm going to select the font here. I'm just going to type it in Roboto. You can download Roboto from Google Fonts. I'm going to adjust the size here to be 16 pixels. So that's the size of the text here. And I'm going to adjust the weight of the button. So I have all these options. I'm just going to put medium. So now you can see that the button has been readjusted. Now we're going to do the automagically stuff. We're going to select the frame layer, either by selecting the name here or on the left panel. What we're going to do is click on the right panel. We're going to click auto layout, and this is going to resize the button. You can see it's just resized the button here. And what I'm going to do next is make industry standard spacing. So by industry standards, there are some spacing grids that are often used either by 8 pixels or by 10 pixels or by 5 pixels. Apple uses by default 16 pixels. So what I'm going to do is use 16 pixels because it's a very safe place to adjust the padding of this button to. So in order to do that, I have the frame layer selected, and on the right, you see that we selected auto layout. The button is already centered horizontally in the center and vertically in the center. Now I'm going to adjust the padding here. Left and right, horizontal padding. You can split this here. But I'm going to do both left and right 16 pixels. I'm going to select this here. I'm going to just put 16 pixels. And I'm going to press enter. You can see that the button automatically just readjusted. Automatically. Now, how about vertically? Same thing here. We want the button to adjust vertically. So what we do is click 16 pixels vertical. And we just created a button. Very cool. This is the right way to create button, guys. Don't ever do it with a rectangle and some text on top of it and group it together. Use a frame, auto layout, text inside. It's going to make a world of a difference. Now, when the developer comes in, if they select developer mode and they select the frame here, bam, 16 pixels padding all the way around. Bam. They know the style of the text. Font size, 16 pixels. Roboto here, font weight, 500. Everything is good to go. You want to do it for Compose, do it for Compose. iOS, Swift UI, do it for Swift UI. And CSS for web developers, that too. So that's the way to create a button the right way. In our next video, we're going to create components, variants of the buttons. But for now, all we have to do is check out how to create buttons the right way. So that's the way to do it. This is my first video, guys, so bear with me. Like and subscribe if you liked the video, if this was useful, and thank you.